Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning. This is on Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Let me see. Hold on one second. I'm doing something here. I'm multitasking. Y'all bear with me just for 1 second. There we go. I wanted to take care of that little piece of business. How was your weekend this weekend? What really went on this weekend in your world? Give us a call 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. We're going to talk about something today. Naturally, I'm going to wait till a lot of the crew, majority of the crew get here before we get started on this thing. But I want to talk about some things this morning that a lot of us deal with. A lot of us deal with in one way or another. Um, and we're going to talk about our children. And our topic today is, where are our children safe? Where are our children safe? With everything that's going on with this pandemic that's going on, a lot of the kids don't really understand. No one understand what it is, or what this whole thing is all about. Did we as adults, did we adequately explain it to them what's going on? Why all of a sudden you got to wear these masks? Why do you have to do these different things? Why do you have to take all these precautions when they, as children, they just want to play? They just want to play and have a good time. That's all they want to do. With all the sex trafficking going on, the kidnapping, and all the other things that's going on in this world today, the bullying, so much. Our children are having to deal with so much. Our children are having to deal with so much in this day and time. So my question today is, where are our children safe? Where are our children safe? Where can they really go, be safe, and not have to worry about the woes of the world? Where? I know a lot of people say, well, they can stay home. That Bonet young lady, she got kidnapped out of her home. I saw a story on TV just the other day where a lady moved into a new neighborhood. I think she was in California, some part of California, no, Arizona. In some part of Arizona, she moved into a brand new neighborhood, and the first week she was there, she had her kids in the bedroom, and they showed a man taking the air conditioner unit out of the window, coming in her children's bedroom through the children's bedroom window, walked through the house, even went to her room, and she made some noises and stuff like that, and he left. He ran out the house. They're trying to apprehend him right now. But this happened inside of her house, came in through the children's bedroom window. So when you say maybe stay at home, that they can also be violated in the home. So no, you don't want to think that. You don't want to think that, but at the same time, it can happen. Very well can happen. And you like to think that the house, your home, the place where you live, is a safe place, certainly for your children. But my question is that always the case? 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. Atlanta Hawks, y'all might be in trouble. Trae Young got hurt, twisted that ankle. You need them ankles to make them cuts. Y'all are quick and a fast team. Now, if his ankles messed up, that's a big part of y'all arsenal. If he can't make it back, I can't see y'all winning this thing, man. I can't see y'all winning this thing without Trae Young. So hey, y'all better get it together, Atlanta Hawks, and all y'all Hawk fans. And y'all got fans all over the world, not just here in Atlanta. Y'all got fans all over the world. So my question is this: if he can't get himself back healthy, if he can't get back up if he can't get back up on that horse, y'all might be in trouble. I'm just saying, y'all might be in some trouble. And so, if y'all think y'all can win this thing, if y'all think y'all have a chance without Trae being on that floor, yeah, y'all give me y'all might be being a little foolish, but at the same time, let's talk about it. 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. But the serious topic we're talking about today, is, where are our children safe? Where are our children really safe? And there's a lot of things that's going on. There's a lot of things going on in and around this world that we're living in. And like I said again, with the sex trafficking, kidnapping, human trafficking, all these different things, with the bullying, having to deal with the everyday school life, and all the pressures that go along with that. The kids go to school. Sometimes they bully and they abuse and they assault each other. Where are our children safe? Got on my striped shirt today, y'all. Y'all like this striped shirt? Man, I bought this shirt when I was over there in Hawaii. I saw the shirt and I just fell in love with it. I said, man, I got to have this shirt. And I bought the little shirt, man. I like the little thing, man. It's a nice little shirt here. Toot my own little horn for a second. Toot. I like the little striped ugly shirt. It's a cute little ugly shirt, ain't it? It's a cute little ugly shirt. Yes, it is. 678-381-1973. Y'all know I ain't got now piece of sense. I ain't got now piece of sense, but that's who I am. That's how God made me, and I'm riding with it. He made me this way, and he ain't never made no mess. He ain't never made no junk. So each and every one of y'all, if y'all ain't feeling y'all best today, know that God ain't made no junk. God made you, and he created you perfectly in the way that he made you. So in that sense of the word, you're perfect. Now, can you walk on water? Nah, you might not want to try that. You might not want to try that. But at the end of the day, I'm here to tell you, you are perfectly made, and made in the way that he. Good morning. We got Miss Friday. Good morning. How you doing this morning?
It's doing all right. It's
Man,
all right. How you doing?
Man, look at, we got Friday with this morning. We got Friday on a Monday. God almighty, where they do that at? We got Friday on a Monday. They roll them all together in a nice little pretty little package, put a little nice little cute little bow on there. Friday on a Monday. God almighty, well, we own it this morning. Good morning, young lady.
Good morning. Good morning.
Now, our topic today, we got, and we usually talk about a lot of things before we get into the topic, but I wanted to get right into this topic right here today because I think there's so many layers there. We're talking about, where are our children, our little ones? Where are our children safe? Where are they safe? Because with all the stuff that's going on with the human trafficking, the sex trafficking, the bullying in school, and the different things that they have, our kids in this day and time have to deal with so much more than we ever had to deal with coming up. And so my question is, where are our children safe? Try to talk to me.
Ooh, that's a loaded question for sure.
Mhm.
I think one of the first things I would say, or to start off the conversation, I'm coming through okay?
Yes, yeah, just make
Okay, is that all of these things, unfortunately, has always been happening.
hmm
Um, you know, we know historically, trafficking of people have been happening for a long time. It affected our
hmm
culture specifically quite a bit. But to the point of present day and the more awareness, the heightness of it, um, I would say it's nowhere where our guard should ever be down in
hmm
regards to our children. So then the proposition to be, are we teaching our children early on about stranger danger? What are the right ways to keep their self safe when they're out of our direct reach?
hmm
Sending them to school has become, for a while, we felt school was safe. We had the bullying there, and we could teach our kids how to protect themselves, who to tell if a student is being aggressive towards them. But we've seen in the last few years, outside of the year of the pandemic, which we're still kind of in, you know, even schools being under attack from outside sources of being, shot up, which changes
hmm
or heightens the level of that sense of security and safety. So it just brings to our attention that no place is truly safe,
hmm
but it's a matter of, are we preparing our children to have situational awareness, um, knowing how to, in an event, take the most safest actions,
hmm
to not run into it or openly be vulnerable to it as much as possible by teaching them.
And see, even with that, Friday, it's almost like we're having to prepare and prep our children to pretty much be in a war zone, and to be warriors, because they're having to fight, and instead of just being like we back in the day, we were children. We had opportunity to be children. Now they have to almost be warriors. They have to put on their shield, and they have to go out there, and every time they walk out that door, they have to be prepared for anything that they might endure. So what do you say to that?
And so we even being past the stage of children, adolescent ages, we should also still as adults be that, right? So to your point,
Mm-hmm.
putting, preparing, put on the armor. And it's so interesting because our pastor just gave a sermon about how it's stated in the Bible that we should be having conversations daily in daily routines about God, who God is, and that's a way of showing them how to put on the armor. That alone will help. Will it prevent people from trying things? No, but having that sense of security in their hearts and in their minds, knowing that they're covered and protected in that way, and also then physically being able to give additional levels of that um, security of just knowing how to protect themselves,
Mm-hmm.
puts them in a really good position. But definitely, we have to make sure that we're empowering our kids to understand, know, and have a relationship with God, because how that armor works, knowing scripture, memorizing them, so they can have that reference as a resource to them,
Mm-hmm.
and then also physically preparing them in a way. I mean, for the Black community, people of color who have historically been in disadvantaged situations, we've kind of already had to teach our children, you know, how to maneuver in certain environments and how to be safe in certain
Mm-hmm.
environments. Just by the nature of what we are up against, just by being in the skin that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
So then now is for more people, outside of just people of color, to have to pay attention to that more so than before.
Wow, that's good. That's good. God, it's good morning. How you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good this morning. Doing pretty good.
Yeah, good deal. Asking the question, God, is where are our children safe in the era that we're in right now, in the scheme of things, human trafficking, sex trafficking, bullying, and so many different things going on. Where are our children safe?
Well, I want to make sure that we understand that I have just been, I've been hearing it, knowing about it. Now I'm running for first district commissioner. And my understanding right now is we need to start becoming more of aware of who's voting and who's in our district voting, because right now, School to Pipeline Prison is a national movement. It's a new
Mm-hmm.
trend.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't know what School to Pipeline Prison really is, but it's not going to affect certain people. It's going to affect the brown and the black. And School to Pipeline Prison is uh, in school suspensions, that they continue to get in school suspension. They continue to get into minor infractions. So they're putting them in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are they putting them in jail, the new program is called SYNC. If the parents are not becoming or dysfunctional in the household, so they take the kids out of there. Well, they used to have foster care parents, right? Well, now they're putting them in these places, and they're not calling them. There are juvenile detention centers, but they're calling them more. They're when they write it up, they make it seem like it's more of a family center. But you're sending these kids, it's still a juvenile detention center.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to have even foster care parents if your parents had issues or whatever the situation, until they get some type of training or whatever. You used to be able to put kids in foster care, and these kids will actually still see what a mother and a father, and how to sit down and deal with issues and problems. And they also know how to sit down at the table and pray for during their dinner. And, the foster care mother still takes you to church, and, you learn how to become a family. You learn how to deal with different situations in a positive way. They're just now removing all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fighting right now. This is something new. What they're doing is here in Kansas City, they built a $26 million facility, and this facility was only approved for $6 million, but they turned around and built $26 million. They won't open up the pools for the last 2 years. We've been fighting to get the pools open. It's only one pool in the whole Wyandotte County district, which is probably from 1st Street to 80th Street. So which covers a large sum of area.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not by design. I mean, this is by design. Not
Mm-hmm.
even to mention all of our recreational centers, they have they have little to no programs. We used to have basketball tournaments all day long in these areas, in these recreational centers. I remember doing arts and crafts and all that, and different swimming classes and different things. They don't even have them for the seniors.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, that's setting our kids up for mischief.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. And that's one of the things right there. I'm getting some feedback from somebody's line. Guys, I think that's your line right there. There you go. There you go. And that's one of the things that we're really up against Friday. The outlets. There used to at one point there was outlets where kids had to go would be able to go to YMC, recreational centers, Boys and Girls Club, and they had outlets like that where kids could actually go during a certain time of the day. Then this whole terminology of latchkey kids came along. Latchkey kids, where the kids after school they have a key around their neck to go home and go in the house and they stay home until somebody come to be there with them, making them very vulnerable to elements that's out there in the world. Because if somebody's in your neighborhood and they don't have your children's best interest at heart, and they sit there and they watch, because a lot of people sit back and they just watch, and they see these kids come home a certain time every day. See them come home a certain time every day, go into the house by themselves, and then a couple of hours later, here comes an adult. Your children become vulnerable. Friday, what do you say to that?
Those are very true scenarios. I would say that though it's much more difficult, we really have to strive to try to really hone in that village community mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So that, because we know that there's strength in numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Across the board. So how then can we develop a system within our communities to where in those scenarios or situation where at least we increase the odds by creating that village mentality of operation, where those
Mm-hmm.
kids that are having to come home and maybe to not a parent yet or an adult just yet, be paired with older kids that's in their same. Now, does it eliminate completely the risk? No, because sometimes the risks are peer to peer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at least we have a system, a village type ecosystem in place to where in those time frames um, they're not alone, because then at least somebody can support the other in a
Mm-hmm.
situation if something negative was to arise.
Mm-hmm.
You become less vulnerable a little bit more when you're not by yourself. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say, but that's hard, right? Because society has made it hard for us to trust one another
Yes.
in a lot of different ways, and we have become more and more sheltered to ourselves, and a lot of times, like for me, even though I'm not super far from blood family. I am in an environment where I have moved from where I had a large community and population of the village into a place where in my immediate area I had to get out and just meet people, get to know them,
Mm-hmm.
to try to create that village for me in order for our family dynamics to work. I do have a younger son, so now being in Connecticut, again in my immediate area, I had to then put myself in the position of which I'm speaking of, and trust other people that have kids as well to say, okay, because schools require me to put down, in an emergency other than your spouse, who do you have next, who's next of kin, or who's available if you're not. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was very challenging for me being into a new area and having to enroll my son in the school because I didn't know anybody. But fortunately, the teacher did recommend a person, and I got to know them, and and it worked out to my favor. And so in situations where I was not immediately available for my son, we worked it out where, okay, y'all are travel buddies, and you will go to, you will leave school with him and go to his
Mm-hmm.
place, and then be able to develop that. So for our younger kids, and even for our teens, that they don't feel like they have to be alone, that at least that option is there for them to operate in groups and pairs.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. God is what's on your heart. It's so much, and the kids, our children these days are up against so much. And the question is, where are they safe?
Well, been working with the homeless situation. We have a huge amount of homeless people, and it's growing, growing, and growing, especially due to the pandemic. Well, keep in mind, along with the population, a lot of them are sex offenders, SOFs. And with them being sex offenders and not having a home and a place where we should make this mandatory, we have so many rules and regulations where we're not allowing people to stay in this particular property. It's harder for them to get a place to rent. A lot of apartment complex. Those are the first ones we want to have made sure had an address,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
so they're able to roam about. They're able to roam about
Mm-hmm.
freely throughout our community, and we don't even know where they are. So our children are in danger.
Mm-hmm.
That's a major issue.
Mm-hmm.
That is a major issue. And if we was able to say, okay, well, we got this apartment complex, and we know that we have several sex offenders in our area, but we know that's what that is, and that's what we need to be able to label it. Because I personally, you got some sex offenders that are wrongfully accused, because some of these little girls are a little fast out here, but you got some of them that it's a sickness. I don't think they're gonna ever be healed. That's a sickness.
And see, my thing is, yes, there is. We do have a lot of our girls out there. That's a little fast, but you got to. Just me talking. An adult have to be an adult, and if an adult is an adult, the way that they're supposed to be, there should be nothing in that adult that have any desire to be with the child. There should be nothing, and that's just me. There should be nothing in an adult man or an adult woman that have any desires to be with someone that is young, like that is underage. There should be nothing in them that that would make them want to do that. Friday, am I off base when I say that?
No, definitely not off base at all. And I think this is an area where, or a moment in the conversation where I would just say that mental health issues and illnesses are real. And in
Mm-hmm.
our community, we have to take it more seriously so that the
Mhm.
proper help can be sought after early on. Because a lot of times we find that by time individuals get to an adult age, in some situations, more so when therapy has not been in the equation, they become an offender themselves to
Mm.
other people. You know, there's a saying that hurt people hurt people. And so I would take this time to talk on that, just to say that, you know, receiving mental health care has to be a topic and a conversation that's brought into the community more, and shown to be a viable uh, source of health care.
Mhm.
But no, it's you're not off base at all in saying that there should not be those desires there. But we know in living that there are those who do,
Mhm.
for whatever reasons that they justified in their minds. And so it makes it difficult because in most cases, I don't have all of the percentages in front of me to say, to spout out, but it has been shown over the years that a lot of times it's people you know and family members that are doing the harm. It's very, I'm not gonna say very rare, but a lot of times the first offense is by somebody that you know or someone in your home. And so
Mhm.
and they didn't talk about Sean, and that's why care
Hey,
is
Friday, you kind of Friday, you kind of breaking up on us a little bit. I don't know if it's on my end or your end, but you're breaking up just a tad bit.
it's probably on my end. I'm not traveling, but ultimately, I'm just saying that mental health care has to be a topic, and not just a topic, but actions taken in our communities a lot more and taken more seriously.
Mhm. That's good. That's good. Goddess, what's on your heart? Sis, talk to me.
I just say it again. She said it and she summed it up real nice. Because mental health is a major issue, and we can't look at. We can say how we feel, but we have got to turn around and look at what's real, and that's what's real. You know, um, and then some of it's not even just that. You have to watch some of our police department, our police officers. We've
Mhm.
got situations that some of our police officers were out here are out here. We thought it was just one. Come find out it's two going around grabbing women and doing indecent things with them, and they ended up dead. Come find out he's a serial killer.
Mm.
Hadn't found another one where uh, one of the ladies survived, and this is a different officer. So, you know, we have to shine light on a whole lot of things, and we got to be careful. Women have got to be careful. Men have got to be careful because this happens not just for women, but for men too.
Mhm.
And that's
Mm.
another thing I realized, and I did not realize. And when you become homeless as a woman, you are very vulnerable to some of these homeless camps, and that's why they tend to stick to men, and then they get on drugs, but they stick to these men because some of them are protectors, and
Mhm.
so they, get into a bad situation, um, looking for protection. I have a young girl right now. She's probably 25 with mental health issues, and she has her little young friend, boyfriend, quote quote. He said he has to stand and stay up at night to watch her to make sure she's okay.
Mm.
So he gets very little. He tries to sleep during the day for a little bit, and then try to go to his little job. But they're actually houseless.
Mhm.
So I mean, this is real.
Absolutely, absolutely. And all these situations that we're talking about is very real. And and though they are all very important, I want to focus in, if we can, I want to focus on the children, because our topic today is, where are our children safe? So I want to really stay focused in on them and make sure that our focal point is on our children, because, and we certainly, God, as you've been with us for a while, we talk about a lot of different things in a lot of different areas, and we certainly will talk about those as well. But right now, I want our focal point to be on these children, because that's the part that I really wanted to talk about today. So Friday, what's on your heart?
So as far as that, there are places that are considerably more safer environments. No place, as we've already stated, is 100%. And to highlight some of those places, in some areas the YMCA is still there and available. There's camps that some areas offer, 1 week camps, and I know it's not an end all be all scenario, but there are programs that are available where the kids can have normalcy to their lives that are generally safe. We
Mhm.
spent a lot of time speaking of some of the inherited unsafeness that is just out in the world today, that some are controllable and some are not. And in those situations where, you just have those, areas where some kids don't feel like they have that at all because crimes are high in their area.
Mhm.
And we've spent a lot of time over the years trying to find ways to offset that, but that's difficult when that's just the nature of the environment. Because kids aren't asked to be born, and they have to
Mhm.
grow up the best way they can in the environments in which they're in, until they can be removed or moved into a different situation based on the options that the parents or the guardians have. And unfortunately, for quite a bit of the population of the people of color, those options tend to be slim for those opportunities
Mhm.
to get out of those situations and those environments, which is a perpetual cycle that continues. How do you offer your child something better or a safer opportunity to express and be a child when the burdens of life, so to speak, is already chomping at the bits because you've already had an unequal footing in what you're doing, or maybe you're trying to overcome bad decisions, right? And in that process, you brought forth children, but now you're have recovered or trying to do more, but systems and society keeps those at a limit towards you. So that is a challenge that we have to try to figure out, and it's not just in one space, it's all over America, right? There's areas all over America where safer
Oh.
environment for our kids are slim to none.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. God, what's on your heart, sis?
Um, I guess I was not trying to get off a topic, but I
Mhm.
was just letting them know that this is happening for foster kids. These are kids that are foster kids that have grown up houseless. They ran away from foster care.
Mhm.
So this
But
is
what
something that is real.
the thing is this, though, God, um, and yeah, and you're absolutely right. You're 100% on board with what you're saying. But where do they run to, though? Where do they have to run to?
They have nowhere to run to. That's my point. They become
Exactly.
houseless. They
Mm.
become homeless. They have nowhere to run to. And a lot of people forget that. And that's a major issue right there. Kids growing out of foster care, uh, graduating or, out of foster care, and they go into the penal system
Mm.
sometimes. And they've been abused in foster care because that's why they run away. That's
Mhm.
why they run away. I don't know how many. We had a little boy that parents did some bad things to, real bad things, and then turn around and fed
Mhm.
them to the pigs. It's Kansas.
Mm.
So, we got to pay. I don't know. I wish our parents would step up and become more parent. I mean, we got a lot of good parents, but we got some of them out here that are so dysfunctional that they need to step up. They need to make a change. And then you got some of them that are doing the right thing, but maybe not doing it the way they need to. They need to start getting more classes to help out some of these young parents, more programs to help out some of them, if they're willing to go. But incarceration is just not even an answer for children.
Mhm.
It's not even an answer.
And I would almost even challenge, those of Christian faith and those who operate and have churches, you got to stand up. That has to be a place where, safety, security, and trust is overflowing, right? That's a place of source that can provide activities and spaces for our children to come to, and so that we're not necessarily relying on government as a whole by themselves to provide it. Churches can come together and provide spaces and opportunities and build. It doesn't have to be my church is and your church not. Together, we're really showing that unified front. If we're saying we're believing God is who God is, then why can't we create a community center? And I'm not saying that you have to shove the Bible down people's throat because they have to come to God on their own terms, but because of those values, it can be a space where people can have their children to be safe in, and then also be able to operate in a way that it does, afford opportunity to introduce them to Christ. But because of it being birthed out of an extension of, a high value belief such as the church body, then there's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of creativity there. There's a lot of resources that we can service our communities through the church. So the church really needs to stand up, and there are some areas where it is provided, and I know that too is in finding volunteers and finding people who are willing to serve, because for some reason that can be difficult to keep that hunger of service. My husband is with me, and he actually would like to chime in and make a statement as well.
Absolutely.
His name is Pat.
What's his name?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Hey, how you doing, man?
Pretty good.
EP, what's up, y'all?
I'm not.
Hey, man.
I'm not.
Good to have you, brother. No. Come on, brother. Let's talk about it, man. It's good to have you on with us, man. As a matter of fact, too, no matter, it's an honor to have you. And I hadn't had the opportunity to meet you, brother. So it's good to meet you. Now, let's talk about this, man. Yes, sir. What are our children safe?
I was over here eavesdropping, and I was trying not to lead her into anything, but going back to a couple scenarios y'all had before where you were insinuating or you were putting out there that kids are going home alone from school a lot of days, a lot of times. I mean, it's not new. Myself, I didn't grow up with a dad in the home, so my mom was the only one there, be me and my sister, and it's because she would work. And that's the plague of, our Black community for the most part is there's a lot of single family homes, mostly women. I would encourage when I am in a two-parent household as a father, I can see where the security is needed, but also the intentional show of love and build a trust in a child so that when you do have to leave them alone during these days, that you have this bond where they'll be able to call you or be able to tell you if they see something wrong, or just like with the family members or the strangers before, if something does happen to them, they don't clam up and not want to be able to express themselves. If as parents, because we are busy, this is a different world than kind of where we grew up, where we had our friends and we could, at a community do it, and we had a community of our parents doing it. Now we're so busy trying to hustle all the time, or so busy trying to just stay in modern life, that we're losing that connection with the children that we used to, which makes it an avenue, just like most Christian people know, when Adam and Eve was split, the serpent came in, and that's all you need was that split second for deception. Exactly. And that's where the devices come in, and that's where the law enforcement comes in. And, but I also would say to the Black community, we must trust the outside entities as well. Something we used to do in our community is we knew the police officers, and he knew when we got off the bus, they would ride around the community for a few just to make sure that we were all right and then go. But if we make them feel like they're not welcome, or it's a burden on their job, then that's a loss that we're gonna have to cut, because we do employ them. That's something that we forget. We pay them. They may seem like the enemy because they're portrayed, but we pay them, so they have to listen. And then with enough voices, as we've shown in the history, we can change things. It just depends on how much we really want to say we want to protect our children, or we just want to make memes and post about it. Because this is a real threat. It's a real threat.
And truth of the matter, brother, it is a real threat. It absolutely is a real threat, and it's something that we need to take seriously. And I love what you said, man, because a lot of times people will just give the verbiage, but they're not willing to put the action into it and make it a reality. What do you say to that?
The ones that don't want to move?
Yes. Yeah, some that just want to they want to give the lip service, but they don't want to do it. Yeah.
The move hits, like, for example, a lot of my family members in Atlanta, prior to it really starting to pop off in Atlanta, during the COVID season and the riots, were all lip service. And his people really showed who they wanted to be, then the lip service had to stop. And but I think with that evidence, it shows that we can get ahead of things now. That we know that even their threats on even if they're giving us lip service across the media platforms, that there is people that's out there that's preparing for something, and that they're no longer just sitting back and waiting for it to happen. It's even with myself, I started to find myself more reactive than proactive. So I had to take a step back and look at my own reflection and say, what am I not contributing to ensure the safety of my child? So it was a lot of things I was putting ahead of him. I come to work, I relax, and then I want to mess with him. No, that's not how it's supposed to work, because then he's going to think everything else comes before him. And that's an action, but it takes a reflection. You have to look at yourself. If you're not willing to look at yourself and say, you know what, these memes ain't working because the stats are still going up. I just got another silver alert to look out for a child. Then it won't. And it's hard for people who don't have kids for it to click as well, because that sense of danger or impending danger or protection just really isn't as real as if it's your little cousin or your nephew or niece.
Exactly. And man, you talking about you ain't want to be on the camera, bro? Come on, man, you bringing it, bro. You bringing it. Yes, sir. And look at here, man. We're here every day, man. Monday through Friday. We every day, Monday through Friday. We love to have you back with us as well.
Oh yeah, I'll give my wife a tea for sure.
Let me. Okay, good. Yeah. Hey, not a problem, brother. Let me go to the phone line. We got another caller. We got a caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Cassandra.
Good morning, Cassandra.
And I'm mobile. I'm traveling, so if you hear the sound.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. What we're talking about today, Cassandra, and I know you have a real strong passion for this as well. But where are our children safe? With everything that's going on in the society in which we're living, the trafficking, the human trafficking, the sexual trafficking, the bullying that goes on in school, the latchkey kids, whatever that verbiage is. Where are our children safe?
Honestly, there are not, to me, there are not many places. And I've worked in the foster care system, I've worked in the education system, I've worked in the mental health system, I've worked in the prison system.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, to me, it is very sad that we are not stepping up like we should. In the couple that was speaking, both of them were very on point with that. We have to do something. We have to be proactive in order to save our children
Mm-hmm.
and to spare our children some of the stuff that's going on out there. Human trafficking is no joke. And
Mm-hmm.
it is on the rise. In Atlanta, where we live, is one of the highest places for human trafficking in the country. And that's a sad state of affairs for us.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have internal problems going on where our children are so out of control, especially a lot of our middle and teenage age children. I mean, in like I think the brother just said, the fathers, a lot of the fathers, not all, a lot of the fathers are absent, especially in our community,
Mm-hmm.
and that has caused major dysfunction in our children because there is no real structure because the mothers are working and they have to work in order to keep a roof over their head, food in the mouth, clothes on the back. They have to work. So you can't blame the mothers and say, well, she ain't there, she ain't take care. I mean, how do you do that and work to
Mm-hmm.
try to, take care of your children? So it's a lot of dynamics that are in play here. So we have to figure out how as communities, we can find solutions to help our children.
Mhm.
And right now, I feel like it's lacking. The
Yes.
churches are lacking, because I mean, I've seen more damage done to church than on the street almost, especially when it comes to sexual abuse.
Mhm.
So, I don't even know what the answer is. I know God has the answer for all things. We know that, but we have to do something as a community.
Exactly. And truth of the matter, it have to happen now. We can't wait until tomorrow
Now,
because
now,
if we wait till tomorrow,
exactly.
we will have lost so many of these children that we can't afford to lose right now. We have to
Yes,
we have to stand we
yes.
have to stand in the gap and protect our children. We really have to. God, is what's on your heart.
Cassandra was really, really on point. I mean, I did an interview with someone that worked in the sheriff's department that handles the juvenile detention center, and it was just appalling what I'm witnessing. And you will want to try to make sure that our faith-based entities are the key factor where they can go, where our children can go to, where we can build that up. But I ain't gonna say unfortunately. I mean, some of the Catholic places, I guess the Catholic churches have also scared people.
Mhm.
That's reality. That has made a major scare. Not saying Baptist churches are any different, but I think now we got to start calling the devil out where the devil lies.
Mhm.
So if you know that Mr. John out here has been known to be touching, Mr. John, you've been touching, and we can't have you, even in the Baptist church, even in the Methodist, and I mean it happens all over. So we got to start
Mhm.
calling a spade, and in my personal point of view, and then we got to start looking at some of these elderly people and asking them, hey, can you step up? Like she said, you're gonna have to find who's in your community that you do know. Like I had a sweet mother. I mean, she was an older lady in there, and we called her sweet mother, and she babysit the kids. It was the old school way, but we were safe. She was strict. but we were safe.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna have to, and I think that that's probably the route that we might have to start going back, finding the grandmas that you know that aren't doing what they're doing. If your mother's not already right there in that area, the grandmas are not right there or not with us any longer. So I think that would be the route that I would go if I had another child here today.
Mm-hmm.
If I had another child here today, and I was a single parent, that might be the route that I would go if I couldn't do the daycare. I couldn't afford the daycare. That would be the route that I would go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Friday, what's on your heart?
No, I'm just not in agreement. You know, the VP was also making a statement that we have become vertical and not horizontal, and so you know the grandmothers of those times are far and few nowadays, just by nature of classification of grandmothers. You know, when when younger people were having children back in the day, it was still a community and a village that surrounded that. You know, some people
Mm-hmm.
say, oh, well, so and so and this and that, but it was in a village type environment where that support was there. But now, we hardly even come out of our front doors.
Mm-hmm.
More or less knowing who our neighbor is. You can move into a neighborhood and nobody's bringing you a tray of cookies and say, welcome to the neighborhood.
Mhm.
So you don't know who's left and right of you
Yeah.
to you.
Mhm.
So, identifying those elders and just those like-minded adults that are in a stage of their life where they can provide that type of support and care is harder to find, but definitely needed, as God has brought to the forefront and mentioned earlier in the village community change that we have to
Mhm.
have.
That's good. We got another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Rico Jackson, calling from Anniston, Alabama.
Hey, good.
Grand Rising, everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Rico, man, I know how you feel about this as well, man. We asking the question, and have you been listening this morning?
Yeah, I got on about a minute and a half, 2 minutes ago.
Okay, we're asking the question: where are our children safe? Where are our children with the traffic, human trafficking, sex trafficking, all the pedophiles out there? And we hadn't even talked about that because when I moved to where I moved, I looked at their pedophile list and just to see what was in that area, and it's amazing, and that's pretty much every area that you move in. There's a listing of pedophiles that's in certain areas. So my question is, Rico, where are our children safe?
First off, it's few and far in between.
Mm-hmm.
It's very few and far in between, but you still have certain individuals. I don't want to say groups because some of these individuals are in these organizations.
Mm-hmm.
But you have certain individuals that are willing to dedicate themselves to protecting the future, protecting the children. And those that are dedicated to protecting the future and the vulnerable children, they know that, I'm gonna say, the invulnerabilities evolve.
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't have a problem with child sex trafficking in the past,
Mm-hmm.
But somehow it evolved, and now we have another issue in this day and age where we got to find another way to protect our children because now somebody else done found another way to exploit them.
Mm.
And so, you have certain organizations, they only find themselves able to address one issue. But you have children that have several issues that they can't determine which organization to go to. First of all, 9 out of 10, they can't even reach out to organizations because they are under the control of their parents. So, you have some people's hands are tied. Like it used to be the village. It used to be the school. It used to be the counselor.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be the social worker. But now when you talk to these same people, sometimes they have to be very careful and they have to keep their hands off of certain things because they may become liable. They may lose their jobs. They may become sued. They could become prosecuted for crossing the line into somebody else's life. So you talk to these case workers and they know some situations are bad, but they can't prove it because they have to take testimony from the child or the parent. Sometimes the child is not going to lie because they have more fear for that parent than the law. than the judicial system. So yeah, here it is. They getting abused. They getting touched on. Did your mama do that to you? No, I failed. I mean, just think about it. You got grown women and grown men that will lie for their spouses. What help? What leg does a child have to stand on?
Wow.
So you know these organizations that are in place to help, their hands have been tied. And a lot of times, if you go back and look at the children that are most targeted, it's the minorities and the most vulnerable. So it may be intentional that they're saying, well, okay, we are here to protect the best interests of the child. But when it comes to social workers, we're really in the best interest of the custodial parent. Because that's what happens a lot now. Custodial parent has more rights that they have to observe than the child. So the child ends up still being in a situation that they end up being in the newspaper about a year later. Oh, they abused him. Her and her boyfriend abused him. And I mean, how many times have you seen where teachers have come back and said, well, I knew this little girl was getting abused. I should have said something. I knew this little girl was coming to school 4 or 5 days in a row. I should have said something. Or maybe they said something after the 5th day. But what about the 2nd or 3rd?
Yeah.
They were thinking before then, but see, they are apprehensive. They are afraid to stick their nose in that business because their hands are tied. So it's really hard to say where the children are safe. I guess they're safer with whoever is willing to sacrifice themselves to protect them.
Cassandra and Rico put a lot out there. What do you say to that, man? Because there's certain lines that certain individuals don't want to cross. And if they cross that line, there's really no coming back. What do you say to that?
Yeah, that's true. And like I said, when I worked with DFACS, right, and the foster care children, first of all, social workers are so overworked, it's ridiculous. I mean, you have one person with caseloads that one human being, there's no way they could take care of all of those families. And so they're overworked, underpaid, you know, and I've heard them say, like, I would have them, a social worker would call me in the middle of the night because I did like transport, I did family visits, that type of thing. And they would call and say, hey, Cassandra, I have a child in Athens that I need to get to Savannah that has been abused. I mean, when I tell you the strain that it puts on an individual, it's just unreal. That's why we have to have more, we need to have more social workers. I know that for sure in the system. And we need to have better planning because these children are dying. I don't know whether y'all know that, I think it was last week, a child with a 10-year-old was 10, was killed by, they said, the mother and her boyfriend or something like that. Right here in Georgia. And so, I mean, somebody, and the child had been abused, they said, for a while. So you mean to tell me nobody noticed that something was happening with this child? Because they said the child had broken bones, different things they could tell that the scarring had been there for a while. Who dropped the ball? Somebody wasn't paying attention. And it's all of our jobs to pay attention. I'll be totally honest. It's everybody's job to pay attention. The school teacher, the neighborhood people, everybody needs to see and pay attention and know the signs of when a child is being abused in any way. That's whether it's sexual, their kids act out, some become withdrawn when there are things going on. You have to pay attention to the signs and know. That's even parents. Parents miss it sometimes when their children are being abused. They miss it. But you got to listen and watch your children and know when they're doing something different so you can tell that something is happening with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Goddess, what's on your heart? And Friday, if it's okay, I want to speak to your husband one more time if he's available. Okay. Goddess, what's on your heart? Unmute yourself, sis. Goddess, you there? Okay, she may have stepped away for a second. Friday, may I speak to your husband? There he
I'm
is.
sorry, I was doing husband things.
There you go. What's on your heart right now, brother?
For me,
Yes, sir.
I was listening to I agree with the social worker,
Mm-hmm.
the one guy, and the social workers are overworked. I think it's going to begin in the community for sure. I mean, we want to put it out on other entities. School teachers do know information that they may be afraid of, and we got to take into account that we do push these videos out that show if teachers say something and parents are addressing the teachers and making them afraid to say something, and then as well as he's saying that people at home that you may know already that be touching and they just don't want to say anything because they want to protect the family. It has to. It all draws back to the mental health issue and teaching mental health in our community. Really teaching community health. Like I'm a veteran. I have mental health issues that I go to therapy for. That in a lot of our communities, therapy is a no-go. You either go, which I don't condone, go to your pastor and get the spiritual leadership that you need, but also know that you're human. You got human problems that sometimes you have to be able to address with the mind itself. Because if the mind don't get right, the spirit ain't gonna work in the first place. And people want things to move in areas and not address the whole aspect of it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Goddess, are you back with us?
Come here.
Goddess?
Yes, I am back with you.
Okay, what's on
He
your
just
heart?
said I am so glad he spoke that. Oh my God. He said more than 1 million. He said, because if your mind ain't right, your spirit you can't get right. And that right there is key factor. That's a key factor. Back to Sister Cassandra. And then we got a lot of, let's put it like this. In our school system, we have a lot of teachers that don't look like us in our area. Some of them care and some of them don't care. That's a major issue. So we've got to start taking up more of these kind of jobs, so far as in our police department as well. We just got a new Black police chief. He said, why, one of the first things he came in, he said, why do y'all still have 1970s hiring practices? How come you're not reaching out to the people in the community? It's not that they don't want to become police officers. You ain't offering them opportunity. And then when they get in the job, how you treat them? That's a major issue. And that's why we have a low percentage of Blacks that's in the police department, because they see things that happen and they're not going to accept it. And then they become targets. And so those are the ones, like he said, will be our first line of defense for our children to be, when they are latchkey kids, to come home.
And let's stay focused on our children. Let's stay focused on our children.
That's why I am focused. That's what I just stated. Did you hear me? Those are the first ones that we need to protect in our community. So our kids can be safe and become latchkey kids, because that is a major situation that is life in our neighbor. My daughter was a latchkey child.
Yeah.
So
okay, but what I do here is we've kind of veered off talking about police officers and stuff like that. And like I said earlier, I want to stay focused on the children aspect of it, because the show that we're talking about today is where are our children safe, and so that's why I want to stay. Rico, what's on your heart, brother? Rico, you there?
Yeah, I'm right there.
Okay.
You know, we got to look at the elephant in the room. There used to be a situation where people that had the authority were going and taking people's children out the homes. So somehow their hands got tied. Now, don't get me wrong, you still have a lot of issues going on in certain places, certain states, where people are having their children taken wrongfully.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess that's the reason why that they are limited in some of the things they can do as far as social workers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you talk to some of these social workers, they'll tell you, man, look, we are overloaded. There are so many cases that we have to cover that you just have to be patient with us when we get back to you. And so they're asking people to come be social workers. But then if you talk to others that quit, the reason why they quit because their hands are tied and there's too much red tape. You don't know which way to go. If you're trying to do the right thing, you might get in trouble. If you don't do the right thing, you'll get in trouble. You might overstep your authority, or you might not use your authority enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's so unclear what we need to do to protect these children. But in the process, these children are still vulnerable, and the abuse, the way they're being abused and manipulated or taken advantage of, is evolving. Every decade, every year, somebody's finding another way to abuse these children. But I don't want to make this seem like this is just an issue with white teachers, because I can look up a number of stories. Actually, I ain't gonna say a number. The majority of stories where black children were abducted in their neighborhoods, or they were going to school, suffering from abuse, and they ended up dead.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk to the daycare providers, they were young black women.
Mm-hmm.
When you go and look at the story of Anaya Blanchard, she had two daycare teachers that noticed her bruises and her broken bones, and they didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Boo-hooed and cried like a baby after she died, after she died, because they knew what was going on,
mm-hmm.
but they didn't say anything. And so we started talking about these latchkey kids. Latchkey kids are latchkey kids because their parents are out here chasing a dollar. And the same people that's doing social work, they chasing a dollar too. They trying not to lose that job.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the parents leaving their children vulnerable, the social workers are too. Mm-hmm. Everybody's hands are tied because of this ideology that we need to come out here and be successful. The children would be safe if they had more people spending quality time around them, protecting them. Mm-hmm. But they are too vulnerable. They're vulnerable to the internet. They're vulnerable to their neighbors. You know, I could go through so many different instances with my own children, and different cases with DCF and Children's Services. Well, the mothers were in the dead wrong, left them at home by themselves and everything, and nothing happened. I had to prove it, and it was up to the children to tell. And guess what? Sometimes you don't like to tell on your mama, regardless if she's right or wrong, especially if you believe she's your only savior and she's taught you against everybody else. So, I mean, you know, it's a hard hand that's been dealt to these children, and it's all about the society that we live in today. We live in a society that's driven by success and achieving goals and self-motivation, and our children are always the ones the most vulnerable. But like I said earlier, it's mainly, you're going to have a few people that's always got their eyes open for the children when they're around, or when they're not around. They're going to be when you're somewhere out with your friends and you're wondering who's watching the children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're going on this trip. Yeah, we're going on this vacation. But who's going to watch your children, girl?
Mm-hmm. Who's
going to watch your children? You know, and you could actually ask that question in a very kind way without being nosy. But deep down inside, I really want to know, okay, we're going to be having a good time, but are your children going to be safe? Mm-hmm. You know, your little girl developed a little too soon. Somebody might not look at her the right way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, you know, it's a community thing.
Mm-hmm. And it really is. It really is. We got another caller right now. I want to go to Cassandra, then we'll go to the caller. So caller, be on standby. I'm coming to you next. Cassandra, what's on your heart?
Yeah, you know, I unfortunately, I think I've seen too much. In a lot of the younger mothers now, and I don't mean just to be on single mothers, because there are some absolutely amazing single mothers, and they have done and are doing the best that they can by their children. But you have a strong element in our community that their whole thing is about having a man and doing what they want to do, getting their nails done, getting their hair done. And the children are secondary. And for those children, those are the ones that I feel the most for. I have seen some of these young mothers in a grocery store, and the child does something simple, and they cursing them out, slapping them upside the head. I mean, just what is wrong with you? And
Mhm.
first of all, why are you using such words in front of your children?
Yes.
I mean, and then we wonder why the children are out of control, because these parents are out of control, a lot of them.
Mhm.
They don't have control over their own selves. And then you're they're babies trying to raise babies. I know because I was a baby trying to raise a baby,
Mhm.
because I had my son at 15. So, I mean, but I don't know. We have to do better. Our children are suffering like never before
Mhm.
because of neglect
Exactly.
on the parents' part. And they
Mhm.
have no control over that at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got two callers now. One caller, the next caller was online is 816 area code, 816 area code. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Kansas City, K with an E.
Kay, how you doing this morning?
Oh, blessed in you.
Hey, blessed as well, sis. Blessed as well. Good to have you. We're asking the question: where are our children safe? Where are our children safe? Everything that's going on in this day, in this today's time, human trafficking, sex trafficking, pedophiles, you name it. Latch. I can't never say it. Latchkey kids, and all these different things that's going on. Where are our children actually safe, Kay? What do you say to that?
In prayer. You have to keep them prayed up. That's all you can do. Just
Mm.
keep them prayed up. And with me being a grandma of 22 grandkids, you best to believe it's a job. And that's where the village come in at,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a job. And when my daughter called me and said, Mom, I got to stay at work till 7:30, then we on the way. If I ain't on the way, my son on the way. Like,
Mhm.
it's a village. And we have to have a village. And it's a close-knit with village. When they go outside and play, when I used to have to go to work, I had neighbors. See, they don't got that no more. The neighbors can't look after the kids, because if the neighbors touch your kid or say, get over here, John, you ain't supposed to be doing that. Well, when the mama get home, she gonna cuss out Betty Ann because she told John not to be doing that. But they don't got the same atmosphere that we had coming up. They're different breed.
Mm-hmm.
My mama didn't raise up that. The neighbor can get me. And so when I raise my kids, the neighbor can get my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I made that clear to my children. When I'm not here, they can watch you.
Yes.
Like, you stay in this house. And I mean stay in the house. I had to go to work. I had 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go to work. My husband had to go to work. We both were working. He
Mm-hmm.
worked for the city. I did nursing. So it was easy for him to go by the house and check on the kids because I was at work. I couldn't leave.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we had a neighbor, and our neighbors was white. I didn't have black neighbors. I moved in a white neighborhood, which is down northeast. And I had white and Mexican neighbors. And when I tell y'all they looked after my children, they looked after my children. They told on them. Oh, that one girl can drive.
Mm-hmm.
I said she can drive. She still the car every time y'all leave. So we had neighbors, and they knew my kids better not say nothing smart or slick back to a neighbor. I didn't play that, and I still don't play it right now today.
Exactly.
So you have to straight up, and you have to be a part. You have to be in their life, and you have to let them know that that lady over there can pinch you. She can pinch you. She can grab your ear. She can bring you to me, and then you're gonna get a double whoop because she gonna spank you. Like I have actually gave my neighbors permission to spank my kids. If they get out of hand, you can spank them, and that kept me in line, knowing somebody else can spank them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of that night, my mama gonna beat you up. No.
Okay, what happened to
That ain't
those
what she told
days? Okay, what happened to those days?
It's parenting. Like I stay on my kids. If I didn't stay on my daughters and my sons, they would follow the pack. They would be just like their friends. My daughter got friends that lost their kids. My daughter had to go through that. And I told her that's something God put you through because you was up there. You was too far up. And you forgot about God. So he brought her and her kids back down. And it wasn't nothing I can do about it. I had to let them go through that. They went through the system. And that's when I found out the system wasn't right. And my mama had foster kids. And I had foster kids. So like Rico said, the social workers don't always be right. I got 2 nieces that's social workers right now today, and one of them quit because they told her to put a black son in a foster care with a white lady when she was trying to let the mother get herself together and help her go to classes and help her get herself together so her son could stay at home with her. And that's not what the system wanted.
Exactly.
And she quit. She quit. So I know firsthand that the system, just because it's the system, don't make it right.
That's right.
Because they're crooked. There's corruption everywhere. How do we get them out of there? It's hard when you fight against the state. Because I wrote letters, I wrote complaints, I did all of that. And instead of them getting that lady out of there, they put a charge against me. Neglect.
Wow. There's so many different layers. There's so many different layers on the scene. I got another caller, and then I'm gonna go to is CJ? Is CJ correct? Am I right? Friday. Is CJ correct? Is it CJ?
CJ?
No. What's your name? What's your name, sir?
Oh, VP?
VP?
Yeah, like vice president.
Got you. Okay, got you. I'm gonna come to you next. I'm gonna go to the next caller, VP. Then I'm coming to you next. So be on standby for me, sir. We got another caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Is it 470?
Yes.
That might be me, Toy P. Good morning.
Good morning. That's exactly who it is. Good morning to you, sis. We're asking a question, and I know you have a passion as well about this. Where are our children safe? What do you say to that?
Up with the Lord. That's it. That's what the Lord is all about, right? Being there, whether you walk through the shadow of death or anything. It's the only place they are safe in. No matter what happens. You can't even save your kid, and you save you. God is the one that needs to be in control, because a lot of people, you think you saving your kids, child getting molested. You think you saving your kids acting like you don't know nothing. You think you're keeping them safe, but your mentality and what you're doing is the wrong thing to do. The Lord's still battling me about how we can beat on somebody and say we love them. Why we got to beat on somebody to get them to do what we want them to do? So our kids only safe with God. Some of our kids, some of us, the kids not even safe with us. So we want to raise them. We want to raise them to be whoremongers and the other H word that try to start hope. That part. We want to teach them that. We want to teach them to sell drugs. We want to teach them to have babies and get welfare. We want to teach them. So sometimes they ain't safe to you either.
Wow.
That's why they go into the system. We want to teach them how to be drug dealers. We want to teach them how to be something other than greatness and excellence.
Wow.
And sometimes, you know what though? The sad part is that the kids, even if they grow up in a molested, abusive, dysfunctional home, they still ain't gonna want to leave their parents. They still not gonna want to leave their parents. They still gonna want to stay with their parents because they're their parents, and that's what you've been teaching them all these years. You got your little zombie, that's all they are, right? You can beat them to do what you say do, beat them because they did something, and I don't want you to do that. And then you think that somebody from the outside who really don't care, defect persons don't care. Listen, we don't want to do our job with a person, but you want to do it with a baby?
Wow.
You still won't even drop first side right. But you think that we're going to be able to make the right, clear, conscious decisions when it comes to taking people's kids. No. And some of them got misconstrued conceptions too, because some of them feel like we don't want to spank our kids at all. So since you spank your kid a little, we got to take your kid away. You know what I mean? It's very tricky. But me being a person to where my father thought he was watching me, but I was still doing what I wanted to do because things had still happened. So I was only safe with the Lord. You can't watch everything, you can't catch everything, you can't be there for everything, and you don't know even what your child's capable of. So the only place you can keep them where you know they're going to be safe, no matter what happens, is with your God.
Okay, that's good. That's good. VP, what's on your heart, sir? Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you. There you go. Oh, there
Can
you
you hear
go.
me?
Yes, sir. There you go.
Yeah, she gone. That's I think her name was Cassandra. She came in with some fire.
Toy.
She made some valid points, definitely with I believe this newer generation, I guess myself, but in the 20s, that's producing children now do have this misconception. It's like they thought that we used to get beat on, but we didn't get beat on just to be beat on. We got corrected.
Yes.
And then if you got corrected on the same thing too many times, then it went to the switch tree, and you might have got a little beat on. But you're gonna learn your lesson, and you won't do it. We definitely, our community definitely doesn't want to get out of sparing the rod to spoil the child. That's why we have the system in place, or the system seems to be taking over parenting for us, because we're getting to an area where it's more about the child's feelings, I guess, or potential future that we may be stopping, instead of allowing the parent to parent. Because you're a parent every day, and you may not be right today, but you could correct it tomorrow. But if somebody's coming and taking that away, then how are you ever going to grow from that? And then that goes back to where she was standing, where she has her trust in the Lord. You also have to trust that he's going to deliver.
Come on.
As well. You have to trust that he's going to deliver on a promise that you hope that you prayed for, because you can't pray. We had heard a sermon the other day that we're taking our faith life like shots, and you can't get filled off shots. So, we're putting our trust out there, and we're putting the faith for the children to be where it is. But are you taking shots with your children? Are you only protecting them for the little bit, and then you're filled with something else? Or you're blaming it on the children not being this way because you're already filled with something else. So I'm sticking with reflection. I'm telling you, it's a reflection thing. If as long as you can point the blame, what is it? You got 3 fingers pointing, or 2 fingers pointing one way, you got 3 pointing back at you. You gotta look at, when you start to point the fingers, you got some type of part of that equation as well. And we have to start saying we're allowing this because of the fast-paced life, because of, like someone had brought up, we're no longer in housing communities like that anymore. We're in apartments.
Yes.
So you don't know the neighbor. You come in, I open my door, close the door, you may say hi and bye. I might hear your loud kids next door. I might think about, what if I go over there and get to know them? But the way we are today, we're afraid to get to know our neighbors.
Exactly.
It's easier to find somebody on Facebook and Instagram and get to know them than the person next to you who could actually do something beneficial for you. Or at least you can learn from them and not know they're beneficial at all. And then you can let the other neighbors know something ain't right about him. That's what we used to do. That's what we used to do. But we're so amazed at the feeds. That our kids are amazed at the feeds, because you think if the parents do it, the kids doing it too. So we don't want to just say, "Oh, social media got our kids," because social media got the parents as well.
That's good. That's good. And it's VP. I don't know where in the world I got this. What I say, CJC, or I don't know what I said earlier, brother. And I definitely apologize. I was like, man, where the world I get that from? VP, I got you now though. Let me go. Got another call on the phone line. I think it's Leonard. Leonard, you with us?
Good morning, Raheem. Morning, Glow family.
Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine.
Man, I know you've been listening for a minute, and I need to ask you the question, Leonard. Where are our children safe? Where are our children safe, brother? What do you say to that?
Man, our children are safe in loving homes. That's where our children are safe. Hopefully those loving homes are in great communities. That's where they're safe at. And then but it does not mean that you do not have to protect your children.
Come on. Yeah,
this is a world full of sin. So you should take parenting most seriously.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a safe place to be. And some of people are raising children in places that are horrible.
Mm.
And then some parents are not aware of the people that are around them and who they trust their children with.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing replaces good parenting.
Mm-hmm. That's
You
good.
still there?
Yes, sir. Yes, I
Okay.
ain't know you was about to stop right there. I thought you was going to come with something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing replaces good parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the issue.
See,
It's parents.
absolutely, absolutely. And see what you did to me just then, Leonard. You slammed on the brakes right in front of me, man. I ain't know, I'm traveling down the road. I ain't know you was about to stop. You hit the brakes all of a sudden, man. You kind of. Yes, sir. Goddess, what's on your heart, Goddess? Goddess, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay.
Basically, I think everything is being said, and then Leonard followed up with safe at home, safe with family that are loving family.
Mm-hmm.
Kay hit it on the head. It was back to the neighborhood, being able to, I mean, that's how I grew up. The neighbors were able to, tell you what to do, make sure you did it. Knew that if you get in trouble by them, you was gonna get in trouble by the parents. So, Toya hit it on the head, because you're gonna have to get down on the knees and trust God, because sometimes you can't be everywhere. You can't be everywhere. I think everybody is just really on point, but actions, to me, my only thing that I can say right now, actions speak louder than words all day long. And how do we get our people activated in our neighborhoods? That's the key factor to stand up for our children. How do we do that?
I have a question, Raheem.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I'm 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I hear people a lot talk about a time where so-called anybody was able to put their hands on you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that.
Mm.
I really don't. And I don't really understand it the way I think people are saying it. But a stranger couldn't put their hands on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9 times out of 10, if I did not want you to put your hands on me, I don't care who you were. You don't put your hands on me.
And let me say this, Leonard. I think it might be a geographical type thing, because I grew up in the South, and I do remember where if my neighbor saw me doing something wrong, they could get me. I do remember, like I said, I'm around the same age as you, and I do remember there was an era. Maybe it was a Southern type thing. I don't know, because like I said, you grew up north, where y'all had a different mindset in regards to situations like that. So maybe that's what it is. But
Hey, Raheem.
Yes, sir.
Hey, we back then too, all of the neighbors were most likely homeowners.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I was coming up, and my grandparents and their neighbors that were their elders up and down the street, those same homes belonged to the family, so they weren't renters.
Mm-hmm.
See, renters, you can move in and out, so you don't know who your neighbors are.
Yeah.
But when somebody bought that home, because that was such a big issue back then that most people don't think about now, owning your own home and property, the same property that people are letting go now, you could trust those neighbors more because you knew who to go to when they did something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So they were going to act more accordingly. You could trust them more because they weren't going to be the Hatfields and McCoys living next door to each other forever.
Mm-hmm.
You had that every now and then, but for the most part, those people were going to be there for the long run.
Yeah.
So you could trust from kindergarten to their senior year, they probably were going to grow up together. Your children were going to grow up together. The neighbors were going to be like the step parents or whatever. I mean, it was going to be a bonding relationship, a familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't have all those homeowners. You got renters, homeowner, renter, homeowner.
Yeah.
So who can you trust?
Like a revolving door.
Right.
Yes.
I wasn't born in the South, the Southern end, and we got spanked. Our neighbors spanked us, and like you said, they owned their homes. And I remember when the lady moved in the neighborhood with 5 kids. 3 of the neighbors got together and knocked on the door and introduced themselves and took us with them. These are the kids. We met their kids, and we played from their day on. And my mother and them let Miss Willoughby, I'm just saying the name, know that we will spank your kids. Like, that's what we do over here. We watch our kids. So if your kids is doing something that they ain't got no business doing, we're going to get them. So we couldn't get with no parent or any of that. We went to school. They were able to spank us. We got SWAT.
Yeah.
Y'all going to get a SWAT. That not be bad. They took all of that. All of that's gone now. You can't, now the teachers ain't swatting students. They dating them. Like, everything's done changed. So I don't know. But we got spanked. And I let my grandkids know right now today, when they over here, you better not let no neighbor come tell me nothing. They went and knocked on people's doors. I bet you they woke up Saturday morning and knocked on people's doors and apologized. We will not knock on your door no more. Like, and then let them know right there, the lady in the red house don't play. She made her grandkids guys from playing on our door.
Exactly. Cassandra, what do you say to this? Because, you know, there's a lot going on, and Leonard said because of the fact he was up north, and Kay just said, you know, she's up north, but it did happen. Is it a geographical type situation? Whereas because, man, look at my neighbors able to get me, Cassandra, and I'm just telling you know, that's just what it was.
Yeah, I grew up in the South also, but I mean, I have family members that were up north, but they did the same thing, and they know when their kids came from up north, that if they acted up, that they were going to get it. And I never forget, I had a teacher, Miss Taylor, that you did, and I think it was like 5th grade, and you did something, I did something one time, and she got me. She took that ruler and she got me good. And then she used to walk from the school, you know, to go home. And man, she saw my grandmother later that day and told her what I had done. Oh, it was on and popping. I mean, I got my behind whipped, and so I got it twice in one day. So, you know, and I don't see a problem with that. These were people that cared enough about me that they, you know, got me when I was doing something wrong. And then my parent wasn't upset. My parent was like, oh, really? She had to get you? I'm getting you again. Because she had to get you, I'm going to get you. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that spanking a child is the answer for everything. I don't believe that. But I believe that there are times that kids need discipline. And some kids do not understand. You say, okay, Johnny, don't do that no more. Now, if you do that again, Johnny, I'm going to, no. It's some kids that you can say that 250 times and he will keep doing the same thing. But when you catch that butt, hello, somebody, when you get that butt, then they think about it before they do it the next time. You understand?
Absolutely.
And I'm definitely not against, like abusing a child. There's a difference between discipline and abuse. I don't know where people get that messed up at. There is a difference. You lovingly discipline your child with a spanking.
Now watch this. Now watch this. I want to go to Toya, but right now I have to go to Leonard because I know he's in total opposition of that what you just said. So Leonard, what do you say to that?
I mean, that's Ms. Cassandra's opinion. I know a lot of people who share that same opinion, but that's a cultural thing.
No,
I'm just saying that one.
Is that your standpoint on it? How do you feel about that? I guess is my question.
Well, I believe that only people out here talking about this is a great way to raise children are Black people.
No, Leonard. Every race that I know, white people, Latino people, Asian people, they do spank their children. Every group. I don't know any race that don't spank their children or discipline their children.
Okay, forms of everybody has different form of discipline, and different children require different forms of discipline. If a child has an issue, hitting a child is not going to help a child. It may deter them for the moment, but all they realize is they're going to grow up and be able to hit as well. We don't have to accept it because this is what it has become. Violence begets violence. If you teach a child and ingrain in that child that the way he sees you as an authoritarian, he sees you as in charge, he sees you as the boss. Why? Because you can hit him.
Okay.
That's what that is.
See, and
I mean that's his opinion.
Yeah.
That's Leonard's opinion, but I don't agree with that.
Spanking is a good deterrent when there's no speech ability, when a child really can't understand concepts. So in development, that little tap on the butt, there's nothing wrong with that. But now when you going to get straps and trees and all these types of things, and then forcing a child to take that beating, what are you teaching that child? That he can give you that beating as well.
See, and that's why I knew there was a contrast in way, and we could go on several hours just on that part, just on that element right there, because everybody have a different viewpoint.
I have experienced it myself when it comes to, because, of course, we was raised to do this. So, hold on. Excuse me. I'm going to spank my child, okay? I'm going to do this. But that boy did something that made that piss me off so bad. And so I was mad. And so I called myself going with it. And then when I seen the fear in his eyes, I couldn't breathe. Because I was accepting that type of violence on my child, whom I claim to love.
See, and
there are some children that misbehave every day. And so imagine they're continually doing this, but you're continually hitting them. They're not learning anything. They're just going to grow up to hit people.
Let me pull some more people into this conversation. I want to go. I said I was going to go to Toya. Rico, I'm coming to you right after Toya. Toya, what's on your heart?
Well, I mean, and again, I get it. I'm with the whooping thing, and I think that there's a certain way it should be done. However, that's fact. If indeed whooping is true, right? Then it's okay if the spouse does it. Then, if it's okay, it can't just be okay for the parent and nobody else because it's okay. So if we indeed find that when we do this action, that it's just adverse to that person, then that's how we know it's not okay. See, the good Lord said to me this one day, and I love my nieces and nephews, and they grown now. I'm not gonna be doing all of that. But he said, Toya, how do you want somebody to love you out of honor or fear? If you have a child that needs to be beat every day, there's a problem, and beating is not gonna solve it. There's a problem. That we act like that because of a couple of things. Undereducated, we don't know how to express ourselves. Attention. The only time you show them attention is when you beat them, and then when they try to do something good, you never show them attention. There's a lot of things, but the fact of the matter is that if they get with their spouse and their spouse beat them even just one time, it's going to be a problem. That's how we know it's not right. If it's a teacher, if it's an officer, right? If the method to get someone to do what I want them to do is beating, then it should be okay across the board. And if it's not, then that's how we should know. That should be a little bit of a flag. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I will only use violence at this point for war and self-defense. And if you make me feel like you're going to hit me or hurt me as a child, then you're going to get a butt whooping, right? But to grow a whole human being, it's the concept. I'm going to grow a whole human being. And when I can't get the whole human being that got their own mind and everything, and even though I'm training it, when they don't do what I tell them to do, then I'm going to beat them. And at the end of the day, you know what? If the human being is strong-spirited like me, It doesn't matter what you do to me. I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if I love you, how can I get mad with you for any reason and beat you, calling myself trying to correct what you are doing?
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about it in that way, I don't want to be loved by fear. I don't want my child to love me. And like I said, now I only had to issue out one butt whooping with the people that I do know, but I think it can, and I know it can be done differently, but there's much to stop lying to them first. We want to beat them because they're lying, but we the one that started telling them lies with Santa Claus. We don't want them to yell at us, or we don't want them to communicate like that with us, but they see us communicate, and that's why they are the way that they are. So what are we beating them for? So, I've seen it every of my ways. Trust me, I hung on to it. The Lord is already, me and him and already went through that. And it's just the whole concept of like what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
If your child get with a spouse and they get with a spouse and their spouse do that, when they tell you the same thing, oh, well, I shouldn't have done it, they were just mad and they accept it, then that's what that's how can we not expect that out of it when that's what we trained them to be?
Mm-hmm.
So a real concept we really we need to kind of acknowledge again before we, go in that direction. It's not cool.
Now let me do this. I'm going to go to Rico, but I want to put something out there because I don't want to have people thinking that we're talking about two different things here. There's a huge difference. For me, there's a huge difference in spanking and beating. There's a huge difference. Now, to spank your children is one thing that's to me, that's a form of discipline when all this has failed and you have to do something different at that moment. And another thing is this: I would never encourage anyone to discipline their children, spank their children, if you will, while they're upset. I think you as a parent, I think you have to go through that. You have to take yourself away from that equation just for a moment and get yourself calm, where it makes sense, where you can collect yourself where it makes sense, because you don't want to go into that room in the heat of the moment and spank that child, because you as a parent, you very well could lose control. That's just me. I think that you need to go through a process before you do that. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
I'm gonna keep this short right here, man. There's a thin line between spanking and abuse.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But we're between spanking and beating and discipline and abuse.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all got a little common sense to know the difference. We could tell when somebody just don't pop their child and chastise them, and then when they just going overboard.
Mm-hmm.
But and to be honest with you, the home should be the safe place. But you know what? It ain't. Mm-hmm. It wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm about to take the kickball. I ain't going back across home plate with it. I'm finna throw this bad boy in the center field.
Mm-hmm.
We going back to the question. The question on the topic was, where are children safe?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we can't find out the answers that we need until we find out why they aren't safe. See, sometimes you got to ask why. So now, ask yourself, why is it that a child isn't safe in his home?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't children safe in the community anymore? Why aren't children protected? Why are children so vulnerable now? Why are they so exposed? Why? It ain't the question of where, because you ain't gonna never find out where if you don't find out why and what you need to do to make them safe.
Mm-hmm.
So now this gonna make some people mad. Economics. Economics made children vulnerable because you had to make a choice between being at home and being a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, or working somewhere near your community, or getting out there making $1 to survive, to pay for all these extra costs that billionaires and corporations have placed upon you to capitalize off of living. So you got to make a choice. You have to pick and choose. Am I going to work 8 hours at this job? Am I going to spend 8 hours with my children today?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to get some overtime? Well, baby, we want a second job because we want a nice Christmas. We want to have things. And see, the thing is the rate of pay is not fair. Humanely, because you have those people in those corporations that can spend I ain't gonna say every hour, but if they choose to, they can. They can spend as much time with their families as they choose to, but the people on the bottom end can't. Some of them are still begging for wage increases. Some of them still they asking for extra hours. Maybe we got to get a second job. So now the mama got to get it too.
Mm-hmm.
Now we ain't even talking about just a single parent. We talking about both parents. See, we got to look at it. We got to look at this. You have survival, you have lifestyle goals, and you have greed that are leaving children vulnerable. But see, society doesn't realize that children are the ones losing out.
Mm-hmm.
They just looking at the progress, the material progress that mankind can make. But who's losing out in the process of us trying to gain and be great, achieve these goals? We want the swimming pool with the picket fence, and we want to take the trips to Dubai, and we want to go to the Virgin Islands, and we want to go get BBL lifts. Who watching your babies while you going over here getting that butt lift?
Mm-hmm.
While you taking all these selfies in the gym, is your daughter sneaking some girl in? I know I laid up in my parents' bed plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
All through the house. They come on, ooh, what's that smell? Oh, yeah, y'all stay gone a little too long. Y'all trust me a little bit too much then. You get what I'm saying? See, the thing is, when you out here trying to live your best life, you got to make a choice to include those that's most important in it. And some parents forget that their most important goal is to not only provide for their children, but to also protect them.
Yes.
So now what choice are you going to make when you got to work a 10 or 12-hour job, or when you got to drive an hour away from home and then an hour back from your job? That's a lot of time for somebody, anybody. And I ain't talking about the homeowners next door that you've been knowing for 20 years. I'm talking about the new people that just moved in from God knows where. I know they might be running from somebody. Oh, you say you from out of town. I never seen y'all before. Y'all got Arizona tags. What are you? Oh, well, I'm a assistant church pastor where I used to be, and I had a talk show, but you didn't even know there was a con notice there on the run. And they've been tearing up everything that they was in contact with before they left. Now they don't relocate and they're here to do some more damage.
Wow.
So now, you don't know nothing about these people, but at the same time, you want them to watch your house while you at work. Hey, I told them boys to stay at home by themselves. They know not to come outside, but if they come out that door, let me know. Man, that's saying that they got them children sitting up and down like that. Man, them children don't need to be sitting out there like that. They need to be out here playing with the rest of them. So now the children outside and they ain't telling nothing. But you trusting, who can you trust? So the parents are in a bad situation. The social workers are in a bad situation. They don't want to lose their job, sticking their neck out on the line for situations and children that they know don't smell right, but the proof ain't there. My son live in Florida. His mom's been keeping them from me. I could tell a story. I could tell my own story. I could tell my children's story. But some of these parents are so evil. It don't even have nothing to do with greed. It just has to do with being evil because they're dysfunctional. So with my son, he had a situation going on where he wasn't doing good in school. The counselors and the teachers come up to him. He starts throwing fits. What's wrong with you? I want to see my daddy. I want to talk to my daddy. My mama won't let me see my daddy. My mama won't let me talk to my daddy. So I finally was able to reach out to him. The mom, she was a little cooperative then. She agreed to let him call me every Friday. So then she reneged. He started acting up again. Left the school, came back, made another agreement. Well, if you act right, we'll let you write a letter to your dad. So he wrote me one letter. I wrote him one letter. The teacher had to read it. She had to read it. Teacher said, move to the tears. That stopped. Next thing you know, she tried to get the counselor and the principal fired. They ain't did nothing wrong but try to look out for this young man and get him to acting, cooperating. Getting him to act thoughtful. Getting him to just be normal and achieve. Because you could tell he was depressed and he was angry. And she went against it. And those teachers, that teacher and that principal had to pull back from me because they didn't want to risk their careers.
Wow.
So so now don't get me wrong, I still got my part that I got to play, which I'm doing that. But in the meantime, even though what is he gonna do in between? And other children in so many worse situations than that. Like I say, we've seen year after year after year the epidemic of young babies, 2, 3, 4 years old, 5 years old, being savagely abused and murdered. And then the people that were in contact with them, the child care workers, the daycare providers, seeing all this evidence and not saying one thing, yeah, somebody beating on that baby. Talking to each other. Girl, she done came up in here with the same clothes on again and another dirty pamper. I ought to say something, but they ain't saying nothing. Because they don't want to lose their job. So we got, like I said, economics. People trying to survive. They're trying to attain their lifestyle goals, and they don't want to go out of the way doing nothing extra besides except for what they want to do.
Exactly.
And greed. Because my mama stayed around for the better lifestyle.
Wow. Wow.
I had to lie. You know what I'm saying? When I went back and told different things, hey, my stepdaddy did this, his stepdaddy did that. He lied. So it was my word against theirs, and I started being looked at as a compulsive liar at a young age. I started being looked at as somebody that had a great imagination, of somebody that misunderstood what was said. Oh, I didn't mean it that way. I didn't hit him that hard. I just spanked him a couple of times. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay, that's what you want to call it. So, you know, I mean, it's still, my mother's place was to say, you know what, you ain't fixing to do this to my son. And this was before some stuff went on before they even got married. But he was a great provider.
Good deal. Rico, let me.
So, you know, I mean, we have to look at that.
Good deal. Hold on, let me pull some more people into the conversation. Hold 1 second there. VP, what's on your heart, brother?
Hey, this thing done got juicy. It done got a little good. Everybody's bringing up some real nice topics. I think you'll be off left field, right field with the difference between spanking and what beating a child is. But I think to the core, Leonard brought up a great point, and the guy that brought up the economics brought up a great point that I was thinking before Leonard had got on, is the difference between the cultures or generational cultures. Like our grandparents and great grandparents were cultivators. They were cultivators of land. From the South. I can't say from the North, but from the South, they were cultivators of land. So that's where our community came from, because you spent a lot more time doing your job. And like you were saying, then the 50s, 60s came. We're fighting to be equal, and we were pushed into an economic system that we had no idea to be ready for or be prepared for. And that allowed them to come in and start separating our communities. So that's when I believe Goddess had brought up the fathers was taking out of homes. So we got a lot more single parent or single moms trying to raise kids in an economic system that's continually growing and getting harder every day, with the absentee father that's probably locked up or on the streets because he was just, during them times, drugs were there. Fast forwarding it up to where we are now, we're no longer cultivators. Everything that we have is given to us instantly. So everybody's a creator. You're a job creator. You're a platform creator. You're creating for something, and that spells nothing into a child's life. You can create an atmosphere for them, but what are you going to teach them? You're not cultivating anything in them. The only thing you're doing is creating for them so they can see. And I think Leonard brought that point up where we're trying to be, or I think it might not have been Leonard, where we're saying survival, then all the way up to greed. We're forgetting what survival was. And now we're in these conversations fighting for survival because the enemy or the people have come in and they're snatching our kids, the most precious thing.
Exactly. I'm going to read this. One of our viewers on the television side actually posted this. Public Citizen LCD. He put this. He said this. Obvious point. People forget the difference between rich parents and the poor parents is that the wealthy ones have the means to take care of the problems, while the poor are just surviving. Cassandra, what do you say to that?
They got bad.
Huh? Go ahead, Toya.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Cassandra. I'll come back to you next, Toya. Go ahead, Cassandra. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't fully agree with that because rich parents are abusive as well as poor parents. So that I don't think so much the money is what makes a child safe in the home. That's not so, because I've dealt with well-to-do families that had their children in custody because of abuse. So it definitely is not that. But I do believe that economics plays a huge position in our communities because, and I got to keep saying this over and over again, a lot of our homes are led by single moms just trying to make it, guys. They're just, they can't be home because how am I going to feed my children if I'm at home? I can't do it. And I know moms right now working two and a half jobs trying to make it. The system has to change. The rate of money, what we earn needs to change. That's why, $15 an hour I think would make a huge difference in a lot of families because then the mother wouldn't have to work 2.5 jobs. She may just have to work 2 jobs. I mean, but it would help. But the children aren't safe a lot of times in single parent homes because they're living in low income housing where everything is going on in the community that's wrong. And then they're gone 12 hours out of the day away from their children, 12, 14 hours. That's a problem, guys. That is a problem. And it has to be addressed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Toya, what's on your heart?
Well, you know, I've even moved away from that stance about anything being an issue. It's an excuses. We were slaves. We didn't get paid anything and had to make it. We were getting beat and had to make it. We had to endure years of pain, suffering, and the things that we went through and build the United States on top of it. So I'm done with the excuses from us. No excuse. Now, I admit the struggle, right? Because my father was by himself, right? Which left my mother by herself. But there are other issues that we don't want to face and recognize and that we don't want to yield from on the spiritual level and on the fleshful level. And it's our choices and decisions. We've been working a long time. We've been underpaid since the 1600s. We've been mistreated. We've been through all that. That's a part of our plight. That is no excuse. We must rise. I don't know how we're going to get out of it, but we know one thing. We got to rise. But we can't make it until we build that Wall Street. It was the problem then, but you know who watched the kids? The one lady got together and watched the kids. The unity was what they did when we built Wall Street then. The unity was what we used when we came out of slavery. We're not doing that. We're not following the basic fundamentals first and foremost. We're abusing our own selves. We're abusing our own kids. We're abusing our own men. We're abusing our own women. We're abusing ourselves, not being educated, not getting educated, and not making some of the right choices and decisions. But then there are some instances to where we are in the wrong situations, right? And things happen, but it ultimately means at the end of the day still, we have to reach down in there, right? Get away from the possession and do everything it takes to move forward, everything it takes to bring our family ahead. And that's what they did when we came out of slavery. That one person had to go to school and learn everything because the entire weight of their family was on them. And then you wanted to be that Harriet Tubman, Benjamin Banneker, Marion McLeod Bethune. You had the entire generation, not only your own family, but the generation was on you. And that's what you walk with. And that's why you did it every day. We don't do that no more. So we don't have the basic values and fundamentals of greatness and excellence like we used to. We're not thinking about that. It's every man for himself. Who cares? I don't even care. Don't matter if you're black or white. I want this love of money any kind of way. I ain't got no time for nothing. And this is why we're in this mess. We've got to get back to the basics.
Exactly. 678-381-1973, 678-381-1973. The phone line, give us a call. We're talking about today, where are our children safe? Where are our children safe? Again, 678-381-1973. Lynn, what's on your heart, brother?
Just listening to the various points of view. And like I say, people know the outcomes of what, have happened to them personally and things of that nature. Like I said before, to each his own. But I can honestly tell you that there are some things that must change. You cannot continue to hold on to things that are not working for you. And this violence issue, it's not working for our community. This notion that you are carrying some type the weight of the world on your shoulders, you need to abandon these beliefs. You need to abandon these things that keep you from getting ahead. There is something that a lot of folks are saying now that is very misleading, that's popular. We'll make it further together. That's not what the data has shown. When I go to medical school, I go to become a doctor. If I'm the only one, I'm not supposed to go because I'm the only black man in the class. I'm not supposed to achieve that. I'm supposed to wait on you. See, we have to understand that one, you have to be the best person that you can be before you ever can contribute to our community. You can't just bring whatever you want in there. We got to have something in common other than the color of our skin. We have to have a moral code, first of all, that we abide by. We have to have some standards of living that we abide by. What has happened is you keep calling yourselves a community because of the color of your skin, and you really don't have that much in common next to your person that lives next door. The people next door could be devil-worshiping atheists and be just as black as anybody. Now, how you gonna commune with them? The person across the street could be, like you say, he or she could have a horrible past and be living right in your neighborhood, which is the reason why when some people go in neighborhoods, you type up to see who living around you. Do you know that before you go buy an apartment, pull up the police report to see what's actually going on in that particular apartment complex? I like what Toya says about the excuses. Think great things that, it's hard for great things to happen by accident. So you may want to start trying to plan things, especially like babies. It was so sad. I heard a woman who had lost three of her sons to gang violence in her neighborhood. 3 sons. After you lost the first one, what did you change? Okay. Then you lost another one. What did you change? Then the third one, come on now. You lost 3 kids because you refused to change something. Or could it be that you couldn't change it? Or that you didn't have the desire? There's some people that are not going to change how they enjoy living because their children are not their priorities. Now, I'm not going to argue with you about your situation because you knew that before you made them babies. I had a good job. I was 30 years old, but I had enough sense to know I couldn't feed a whole bunch of babies. So what did I do as being personally responsible for myself? I didn't need Raheem's opinion or no one else's. I know I can't continue to make babies into oblivion and then expect to be able to feed them. Y'all having 4 and 5 kids and know you ain't barely making $12,500. At some point, you have to think, what's best? What's the best decision? This is why I couldn't jump on that board against Planned Parenthood and all those types of things, because I know some people find themselves in situations. So rather than live in that, why not take every precaution that you can? Plan a better life to live, as opposed to always, well, I got to go to work but man, I don't care. You knew that before you started making babies. Our ancestors knew it. My father and them knew it. You know what, man? If I'm gonna have some babies, guess what? I need a house to put my family in. I need a job. Women, you need to start making, that should be some criteria on your list before you start out here mating like wild dogs. Does he have a job? Does he have an education? Can he provide for me and the family? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to be in your business. Those are just some suggestions.
Okay, let me move on, Leonard, because you dropping some stuff on there, man. You got VP over there. He's shaking his head. Oh Lord, whoa. I see you over there, brother. I see you. Let me go to K with the E. K, what's on your heart? K have a hard time finding the mute button, y'all. K, the mute button.
I don't have a heart. I just hit the wrong button.
What's on your heart, sis?
Nothing. And I mean, I thank God for my parenting, and I thank God for how I was raised, and I thank Him for being able to install it in my kids, no matter what was going on around me in the society today, even today with how it is today. I thank Him. I thank Him for covering, protection, because I haven't had to deal with a lot of stuff that my friends didn't have to deal with, and I didn't heard on the news. And I got a lot of girls and little boys, and they are everywhere. And I thank God for covering my children.
Yes.
Because my boy was always gone with a church somewhere. And I had to ask them, "Wrong, have those men ever touched on y'all?" Because they were always gone. They looked at me like, "Mom, you crazy. You think somebody could have touched on us when we was kids? Like, you would have had to come get us out of juvenile, because we probably would have poked their eye out." I just thank God for the protection, and I just thank Him. I thank Him for, I thank my mama for teaching me to know Him, to abide in Him. Because if you abide in God, He will abide in you. And that I know.
Exactly.
That's it.
Where are our children safe? Wow, that's a heck of a question. God, is what's on your heart?
It's just a whole lot. We touched on so much, you know, from the spanking and all that. I grew up with spankings, but it was far and few in between. You know, when my dad did, it was something horrendous that he thought that, you know, he wanted to make sure I didn't do it no more. I went to a school where we got spanked. It was a group of us got together not too long ago that went to the same. We're still close here today, and from grade school, we were just laughing how when we was kids we got spanked, you know, by Sister Mary Susan. That was her name, and it is what it is. But if we look at everybody that was in our classroom in grade school here today, and it was evidence based, that works. Everybody in that classroom here today that we know of are productive parents and productive citizens. So I can't say that it didn't work. I won't say it didn't work. I must say that. And my daughter, when she was a kid growing up, you got some kids that you can just, you know, talk loud to. You don't never have to spank them. You know, you got some kids that you can't. And I just think it just depends on the child. It depends on the situation. I also know that as a parent, we do have to do sacrifices. Sacrificing is a key factor.
Absolutely.
We have to teach our children that being consumers ain't what's going on, and that's what you continue to do. And parenting doesn't stop as they grow older. And that's what people fail to realize. Parenting doesn't stop.
That's good.
At all. So you know, being a consumer is not what's going on. Start learning how to cultivate. We always had a garden growing up, so we could feed everybody in the neighborhood. That's what we did. You know, these are just some things that we were able to do and make happen. My dad, our neighborhood was full with fathers, and now there's that's very little fathers. So I'm encourage the next, you know, men out here today is, if you see some single mothers out here, and some of our Black women need to say, "Hey, man," tell their husbands, "Hey, step up and kind of take that son with you and our child, so they can be able to see what a healthy family life is."
Good deal.
I
Good deal.
encourage our Black men for that.
Absolutely. Rico, what's on your heart? Cassandra, coming to you next.
I agree with everything everybody is saying. I'm not going to dismiss anything. I'm going to add on to it. Everything Leonard said about you know, the type of man that you should be looking for. All that is true, but it was one thing he left out, the most important thing. Beyond all that education and all that providing and that money that they can make, what kind of character does he have? Because like I said, my stepdaddy is a millionaire a few times over. But that didn't keep him from making me dysfunctional. That didn't keep him from making me be the person that might blow your head off. I might go in the left field because I witnessed him going in the left field. See, I picked up some things from my stepfather that I didn't get from nobody in my family. It is not in my DNA. Not my mother, not my father, not my grandfather, but him. So yeah, he was that guy that provided and gave all those things that a woman would look forward to. Oh, he's a good provider, hard worker, he's educated, and he was also an abuser. He was also, what would you call, infected with dysfunctional behavior himself that he never addressed. So, you know, sometimes you have to go deep and beyond the economical things. Like I said, we look at the material thing, but you have to look inside of people to find out who your neighbors are that you can trust to watch your children while you're out here working. Now, I love Toya to death, but I'm going to go back and, like I said, I'm not going to dismiss anything anybody said. I'm going to say also, it is economic. Slaves didn't have an option. Slaves didn't have to make their children act right because guess what? The slave masters would have killed them too. That's why it was so much order. When you see the slave master bend daddy over and rubbing up his behind, dad and mama ain't got to do a whole lot of disciplining. So that's the reason why back then it was so easy for children and families to stay united and to mind their parents. There was a whole lot of respect and compassion given because we knew we were in this struggle together.
Mm-hmm.
When Black people got to the part where they could participate in the economic structure of America, and we start seeing that we can achieve these picket fences with the swimming pool in the ground. We can get property. Now we are free to have things. We became part of that economic system that pulled us away from our children. So we can't deny that. We cannot deny the fact that people started sacrificing quality time for trying to attain lifestyle goals. Some sacrificed quality time out of greed. Some people gave their children to their parents so they could go off and be famous. I want to be a movie star. I want to be a singer. I got a singer career that I want to achieve. So I want you to watch my children for me. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be famous. And then I'm gonna reconnect with you and apologize to you when you turn 40 years old. See that people were trying to attain some material goal, a status. So there's a lot of things that went on with that contributed to making children vulnerable. What made you ask this question? Where are our children today? Like I said, again, why? Why aren't we start answering that question? Then we might get somewhere.
Absolutely, Cassandra. What's on your heart? VP, coming to you next.
You know, I want to go back, you know, to economics. You know, like for my children, like I said, I was a teenage mother, and I was working. I started working before I had my son at 15. And the one thing that I can say, I always strive to get my children out of the hood. I grew up in the hood, and it was not good. I got into gang activity, all kinds of stuff. And I didn't want my children exposed to that. So I was that parent working the 2 jobs and going to school, trying to make a better life for my children. Mm-hmm. And when I moved them into a different area, trying to, you know, give them a better life, I was called, oh, you trying to, you know, live above your means, or you trying to, and this was from Black people. And well, white people ain't saying that. And all I wanted was my children to have a better life than I did. And I think that's where, now you have a lot of young mothers that they're not trying to do that. They're content with being in the hood, being on welfare and food stamps. They're content with that. It's like a generational thing with them. But there are mothers like I was that was doing everything they could to give their children a better chance and to make them safer, help them be safer in the neighborhoods where I live, you know. So I don't know, you know, economics has a lot to do with it. and we just have to do better in this country, and it starts with our communities.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. VP, what's on your heart, brother?
I don't have nothing to take away from anyone. I would strongly urge that we don't mix up the wordage to bring down what it means. So for me, a community is a group of people. If it's all black, or if Hispanic or whites are mixed in there, community is the people that you know that do have that common goal. The neighborhood is where you live. So you can not know the person down the street in your neighborhood, but if you have a community, then you have something established that's going to be a safe zone if you're willing to work for it. Once you get your community together, you can get with the neighborhood, and then you can start making changes. Neighborhood watches, neighborhood community get-togethers. And then once the neighborhood's together, then you can go to the city and the county, and then you can make the laws change, and you get things to go. So Leonard's spot on about a lot of things he says. One thing I would urge him, because he has that power behind him, is when you see somebody with a call that has that purpose that can move somebody, because you're gonna need a leader. You don't leave your community behind. You're gonna need a leader who can lead them out of that. And that's a call and a purpose that a lot of people misconstrue as success, when that's not what it is. It was for you to come back. You know, if you're religious or not, you got to come back, Moses, and get your people out of Egypt. You're successful doing what you're doing. He was fluffed where he was, but he had a call. You got to call and go back and show the people how to be successful, not just down them and think the stats is what the community is. The stats is not that. So that's the only thing I would urge is, let's not find ourselves wanting to beat down or tick-tock each other out of any type of potential success. Because just like Rico said, that gets rid of the why. Because now we don't have a why if the only person is thinking of themselves to get out.
That's good. Friday, what's on your heart?
You see him, you see me. You see me, you see him. We went what he said. But I would say I would just add to us just continue to have the conversation. A couple episodes ago, we talked about help and who is help, where's the help. And I think this plays right into that. You know, let us not be silent. I think that communication and having these talks in this forum, but also with one another and outside of this platform, we have to talk with one another. We have to say that I can help in this area, even if that's just putting it on the community billboard or putting it on the neighbor's door and cars. You know, we may be the help that we're looking for with one another. And so if you know that your schedule, you know, some people kids, but if you know that you have that availability to where you can provide that assistance or help to say, I can stand in the gap. I'm available these times if you need childcare. I'm available. I have this ability or skill set or certification. We have to put ourselves, we have to let it be known. And so I would just say, let's not be silent. Let's continue to talk beyond these platforms and really, like VP has stated, you know, reflect. Are we letting people know that we are willing to help?
That's good. That's good. Cassandra, give me some solutions.
You said me.
Yes.
Yeah. So there are really a lot of resources. Let me tell you what happened this weekend. One of my friends reached out on Facebook, and she was asking for a mentor. She had tagged me in for her son. So it's stuff like that, like what the young lady was just talking about. People that are available, or that will make themselves available to help, because she has a 14-year-old and she needs a male figure. Her father died. This is crazy. Her father died last year. Her husband died 6 months later, and her brother died 4 months ago. Those were all the men that she could trust with her son. And so now she had to, yes, isn't that something? Wow. So now she's reaching out to the community saying, hey, I really need a male figure because he misses all those men. And he needs a male figure to help guide him. And like she said, we need people that will let themselves be available to be that voice that the child can hear, and we gotta just available, man. Just be available. Yeah. We sing the song, I am available to you, and all this good stuff. A lot of stuff sounds good in the Christian community, but I just feel like we miss it in doing the action. We love to sing the song. We got a song for everything. But I just feel like we need to do more to help our children. And availability is one of those things.
Absolutely. Cassandra, the young lady, is she here in Atlanta?
Oh, yes.
Pass my number. Pass her my number.
Okay, good. Yay. I was hoping somebody.
Yeah. Pass her my number. Yeah.
Men that I feel like would be good influences. Good. Okay.
Yeah. Good deal.
I will.
Toya, you want to see what's on your heart, sis?
Yeah, very, very good feedback from everyone, but ultimately I think it boils down to self-control. I think when we really look at it, we got to understand that we've always been under attack as human beings. Color just seems like it makes it more under attack, but it's about self-control. We got to really have self-control back into greatness and excellence, and we're not walking in that. With our families, with our relationships, raising our kids, we're working multiple jobs, and just dealing with each other as human beings. I'm going to take the color out. We're not operating in greatness and excellence if we're not committed to being nonviolent, committed to strengthening and filling in the holes and the gaps that we know are problems, food and certain abilities to be able to watch children while we do go to work. And like you say, mentors. Right. Until we get that part down pat as a community, with whomever you choose, that needs to be the goal across the board with everyone. Right. And stop distorting this greatness and excellence in other ways, because these are the problems.
Yes.
Right. Like Rico was saying earlier, when kids act out, it's a reason. A lot of adults are looking over the reason. These things that are happening, it's real that we have pastors that are molesters. We have teachers that are molesters and abusers. We have people in places that shouldn't be in wrong places. And some of these things are going unanswered, and thus we have this big mess. But definitely there's something going on. And in order for us to fix it, it's going to take a moment of self-control for everyone. You know what I'm saying? For people in positions of power in the community to want to help the community, and the community to want to help. There are some stories that are taken seriously, and some stories that are not taken seriously. And we just have to be willing to correct and fix whatever it is by any means necessary. You know what I mean? But I love y'all so much. Great conversation as usual, Raheem. I love the feedback from everybody, man. And just in case I don't get to speak again, man, I love y'all. Keep up the good work.
Hey, love you as well, sister. And to God be the glory. God is what's on your heart. Goddess? Rico, talk to me, brother.
One thing I realized, sometimes what we are trying to accomplish can be very easy if we just sit back and think or put ourselves in other people's shoes sometimes. We were wondering, where are the children safe, or why aren't they safe? And then we have to sit back and remember that we were children once before too. We remember our experience. Not only do we remember our experience, but we remember our siblings and family members and other friends' experiences also. And some of those children that we grew up with went through a different upbringing than we went through. They had a different experience than we had. Some of them were abused. Some of them probably went through a better living situation. But we knew what was going on. And with that being said, you know, sometimes we would look and see our friends going through things, and we knew if their parents did this and that, they wouldn't have to go through this. Or maybe when we went through things and we knew, okay, if my mom was here, if my dad was here, if I had somebody around, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Maybe if they hadn't been thinking about going to the club so much and been spending more weekends with me, then whoever was babysitting me wouldn't have turned me on to porn or whatever it is that you were exposed to. There's so many different violations that can happen away from the watchful eye of those that really care for you. So what I'm really trying to say is, as human beings, we're supposed to have enough interest and concern in our youth and our children and other people's children, because we were there once before ourselves. Yes. We know the hazards that could come with it, and we also know the safeguards and the preventive measures we could put in place to make sure that they don't go through the same thing we went through. See, we'll provide the atmosphere. You know, like Cassandra said, she moved her children to a different neighborhood. People will provide things to their children so they don't have to go through the struggles that they went through, but they still don't understand the outside influences that they have no control over. What are your children being exposed to when you aren't around? Who are they around with? Are their friends the type of friends that got parents that'll let them come over and smoke and get away with stuff that you wouldn't let them do? And to help them manipulate you into not even realizing that they got this other lifestyle going on. So you have a lot of interest and concern in what's going on with your children. And if you're concerned about the future of the community in general, then you have to be concerned with interested in the concerns of all the children.
Yes.
The community or in the next state over well.
Good deal. Good deal. VP, what's on your heart, sir?
I was coming back again. I was really enjoying it.
Okay. I think you got a phone call coming at the same time. There you go. There you go, VP. We can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, you had a phone call coming in. Yeah, it kind of took you down a little bit. You good to go now. Go ahead.
I think everybody's hitting it on the net. I'm just gonna piggyback because this last round, everybody's hitting it on the head. Pretty solid. I'm going for him. I'm a new parent. My son just turned 6. I can, like Rico said, I know what it's like to be a child. And actually now, because I grew up without a father, so trying to be, that's another thing that should be brought up, is we're a generation that's learning. Like, we're learning to be parents, or we're learning to hold down financial households, and we're learning. So I noticed that I'm learning what it's like to be a father. I've spanked my son twice, and he's 6 years old, and I almost cried after each one. But it came after like it was like, okay, you just not trying. But then it was nothing else after that. It wasn't like I was beating him and I had to think about it. It was like 2 days later that I finally like, yeah, you know what? We're not gonna let you get away with this one. And I'm choking up while I'm trying to do it, but it's a few licks, it's over, and you do feel worse. You feel worse afterwards. And then you have somebody say, well, why would you do it? Because you know your child. It's not like I'm out here. He's the punching bag. He's my child. So I know you did. Now you know better. You know better. So
hey, bro, will you feel bad? Will you feel bad? Will you feel bad if he come back and do it again?
No, he ain't done it again.
I said, would you feel bad if he came back and did it again?
Oh, now I'm gonna think yes, because now for me, it's not. I don't think the whooping's not gonna help. It's gonna be it's me. I'm obviously not teaching him properly. That's a self-reflection. That's the problem. Mental health, it's the blame game that I was telling Rasheed earlier with the fingers. All right, you doing that wrong. Why you doing this wrong? You ain't getting it. You ain't getting it. Just like I remember as a child trying to learn math, and your parents trying to teach you math, and they upset because you're not getting it right. So instead of slowing down and gaining that patience to get to where your child is, you already know it. You already know 5 + 5 is 10, and you add another 5, that's 15. You can make it up that fast. They've never had that experience before.
Mm-hmm.
And as a community, a lot of us hasn't had this. We are just, I mean, we've had abductions, but we didn't go through that. Our ancestors went through that. So now we're in a time where we're starting to get abductions, and we're learning, because the baby boomer generation didn't really have that problem. The communities were strong. They wasn't tore apart, and the economics were changing everything. And we got this struggle now of teen moms and glam grandmas, and they both the same thing. Both of them twerking at the club at the same time. And then you got the dads throwing money at them. Yeah. And nobody's there. So we have to, the why is us. That's what it is. We have to look at ourselves and say, enough is enough. It's time for a change. And really, and like a goddess said, or Cassandra said, you got to put your foot to the pedal. You can't keep going to the car dealership and looking through the window, think you're gonna buy it, and never try to get the finances and do it.
Yeah, exactly. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Shout out to brother VP. He hit it on the head. You know, when he was speaking about his experience. His experience taught him that something has to change. I can't keep doing it this way because it's not working. I got to do something else. And as a parent, it's his job to find out what it is, not the child. Like you said, it was so funny when he was talking about with math, for instance, and you would think, you know, I used to tell my wife, you think saying it louder actually gonna help? You really think that helps? I'm a tutor. So if I got to sit here and explain it to him 6 or 7 ways, that's what I have to do as a parent. Yeah. Hollering at him ain't gonna work. Tell him he ought to know it ain't gonna work. None. Show him how to do it. You have to have that much patience. You know how much patience you had waiting on his mama? That's how much patience you have to have. Me and my wife had different strategies. And I had to get her to understand the reason why they interact with you differently is because of your strategy. They wouldn't even think to harass me about anything. People used to say, man, how you get your children to be so mannerable? I taught them the importance of being mannerable. And I said, well, your child just sit down and be, what you think? What do you think he's supposed to do? He's supposed to sit down and be quiet. But that didn't happen overnight. If I can train a dog, surely I can train my child. And we have to be, I mean, this ain't no easy thing. You have to be determined to get it done. It's not just going to happen just because. And then you sitting around talking about, I remember the good old days. What good old days? You was a Negro in America. What good old days? Where you going? You can't be going no further back than the mid 70s about them good old days.
Yeah.
Now, because one, it hasn't been a good old day for a lot of us and for some of our people. So when excellence and moral values were the key to our upbringing, we were doing so much better. But now you have parents that are in a rebellious stage. You know, some of them became parents way too early. Shout out to the best friend a person could have, Trent Mosley, today. That's my best friend. We grew up together. He remembered my father before he died because he died young. He remembered my father taking us fishing. I remember his father was the football coach of another team. We had fathers who were actually hands-on in the community. They were our football coaches and all these types of things. And remember what I said, this different today. Even then, had you put your hands on me, Raheem, I probably would have burned your house down. Do you understand me?
Well, look here. I hope you ain't living in no ice house. I'm gonna burn yours down too.
Because these are the things that you have to deal with. Every child is different. And they precious, and you can't do everything you can not to destroy that. Don't force them to grow up too fast or hold them back too far. But I tell my son now, I have an adult that's 21 and my other son is 13. As their father, my job is to facilitate their best choices. That's my job.
Yes.
If they may not have choose the career that I want, but that's not important to me. As long as that's what he loves and it can feed him or what have you, that's his choice. I'm going to facilitate best choices. I'm not going to try to make him be me or anything else. I just want him to be a good person. I want him to treat people right and respect and value other people. And I don't want him to think that the way to get around and get his way is hitting everybody.
Exactly. We got 5 minutes. I want to touch some more people before we get out of here. So everybody give me your brief version if you don't mind doing that for me. I definitely would appreciate it. Goddess, what's on your heart, sis? Let me see. I think she might be muted. Make sure she. Goddess, you there?
Goddess, you there?
Okay. We'll come back to Goddess. Toya with a T, talk to me.
No, yeah, man. Valid point, man. Hey, greatness and excellence is key. I think, again, that's what I want to touch on. And I just heard it a few seconds ago. You know, we got to get back to greatness and excellence. We got to get back to the basics, man. And again, like I said, it's not about color. It's about humanity. It's just got to go back to wanting to be great and wanting to be our best, man. But great show. Love y'all. Keep it rolling. And I really hope that this help touch the hearts and open the eyes of somebody, man. Appreciate y'all so much.
Hey, likewise, sister. K with the E, you there? K, you there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I'm about to see her and that dog going on mute button.
I'm out here spray painting. Actually, I'm doing a lot. But I just want to tell Rico. He said what the babysitter was doing to him. She was doing to him what they was doing to her. My nephew, we had a little babysitter, and he busted his head. We was just laughing about it. He said, "Boy, Auntie K, I was in the bathtub. She didn't supposed to be in the bathtub with me." He said, "I bust my head getting out the bathtub when I heard my mama come in the door." I was like, all I could do was laugh because it was a foster daughter. So that's what they was doing to her in foster care. They was having sex with her.
Wow.
So she was having sex with my little nephew. So she was doing to you, Rico, what they was doing to her.
Wow. Cassandra? Cut it out. What's on your heart, sis? We're about to get it out of here. What's on your heart?
Okay. No, I just, I appreciate everything that Leonard said, because if we had more men like you and Leonard and some of the other men that are on this panel, that would be beautiful. But unfortunately, we don't have that. And I believe that a major part of our community's problem is the lack of male leadership. Now, we can take that from the scriptural and spiritual aspect, which would be great, because then when the men are in order, it helps the whole body come into order. That's according to the word of God. So our children are lacking a lot in a lot of areas, but especially male leadership.
Absolutely. VP? You anything else?
Yeah, no, I didn't know you were coming back. No, Cassandra, that was pretty much what I was gonna say. She said what I was gonna say is the male leadership portion.
Good deal. Rico?
First off, that wasn't me. I didn't put stereo out there. Sometimes I need to put that out there. Sometimes I might be referring to men, then sometimes I might just say me as a hypothetical, from another point of view. But one thing about it is, when you really have an interest or concern for somebody's progress, you will enjoy it, and you will have patience in helping them. I used to catch myself getting frustrated with my children when they couldn't pick up stuff fast, and it was because they wouldn't pick it up fast. But it wasn't because I wanted something else to do. It was because I was worried they wouldn't get it. So I was impatient. I'd be like, man, I'm so worried that they ain't gonna be intelligent. I'm smart. They need to be as smart as me. So I wanted them to pick it up. But then I had to go back and think about when I was young, how some things that I wasn't interested in, somebody had to take the time out to get me to focus and pay attention to what it was. If I was interested, pick it up fast. That was so now as an adult, when you find yourself getting frustrated with your children and you can't get them to conform, if you enjoy it, If you really have a concern, a sincere passion for wanting to see them do better, you won't get frustrated. So it won't be that hard. Just take your time, be patient, and like I said, sincerely be there for the community. Being a mentor won't be a problem.
Absolutely, absolutely. Friday, you have anything on your heart?
Well done. I mean, I think this was a great panel this morning and a great discussion, even for those by phone and by chat. Dialogue is key, and just let's continue to communicate and share. We see that we are in different places in the United States in this one platform and have similar experience and can learn from each other from different experiences. So we have to share, and like VP had said and others had mentioned, we're in that learning stage, right? Because we're in that cycle of the generation where most of the men have been killed or in jail. And so we're trying to, the next generation coming up is going to be even harder for them to understand the very conversation that we're having right now, because they're putting them up and putting, behind bars at 16 and on unnecessary lengths of time for some things, so they're not even getting out to their 32, 40 or at all. So when they're coming and getting back into society, we have to have a space and compassion for them in a way that's different, because they're against even more odds, and to be able to fulfill that role as being able to get a job and to lead a household, and that conversion, that change of a mindset, because it's different coming from a place where you're having to defend yourself constantly every day in a lot of cases, and then coming into an environment to learn how to be in that role. So like VP said, it's a learning process, and as we're trying to get it right, I was fortunate to come from a 2-parent household. Didn't make it a great one per se all the time, because there was still my dad was very strong in his verbal, so it was a lot of verbal abuse happening, physical abuse that was seen and happening. So that's not the end all be all, but there is something there to that. So as we're doing this as a 2-parent household, there's things that him coming from a single parent household that has to be learned, and I have to be patient with that as we try to give the example to our son on what that looks like. And the glue for us is putting Christ first. So having that faith foundation, so that what we don't know and where we are weak, he can make us strong in, and we can get wisdom from. That's all I got.
And I'm gonna tell you something, man. I think y'all are doing a great job, man. I saw your son a little while earlier. He came, he sat on the couch beside you. And I think y'all are doing an amazing job. Keep doing what y'all are doing. Keep going in the direction y'all are going in. God got you. God got you. And if you
teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, God got you. And if you need us, we're here. We got you as well. Now, VP, I gotta ask you a question, though, brother.
Oh man, I should never got on.
Now that you've had this opportunity with this, brother, can we look for you back?
Yeah, I would love to come back. I didn't know I could just join on like this. Yeah, I would do it.
Yes,
I thought she was just back there talking to herself a lot. She's crazy.
Look here, you answer that one later on. You answer that when the cameras are off. You answer that one right then. She ain't gonna say that right now. But yeah, brother, we're here every day, Monday through Friday, man, from 7 until 10. So if you get an opportunity, man, you're more than welcome. Come and join us. Come and join us.
All right, I sure will.
Good deal. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? I know you got something about this time every day. You say something, Leonard. What is that you usually say?
Man, one day I'm gonna forget. But if you did not get a chance to hear this show in its entirety, log on to www.dkmmediagroup.com at 3:00 Eastern today.
Good deal. Now, Cassandra, you got a job you usually do for us as well. So can I get you the prayers out?
You say Cassandra?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Father, we just thank you once again for everything that has been said and done on today. God, I ask you to bless everyone under the sound of my voice. I ask you to allow us to share the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of your word and of the situations that are happening all around us on a daily basis. Bless every panelist, God. Give them what they need in order to be successful in you. We thank you right now for DKM Radio and Media Group. I thank you for Raheem and for the platform that he has given us to share things that will enhance all of our lives, our community, our country, and maybe even the world, God. We bless you. We thank you. These and all other blessings we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. It's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow being a part of your morning. It is now 10:05. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. That we shine some of this light on you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might get some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Take care of each other and have a great day.